I don't want to have anyone be late and keep this within 30 minutes. So I'm going to get ahead and start right now. Victoria, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So yeah, my name is Tony Marr. I am the Central America Portfolio Manager for Clark Tula Representation and Sales Support. Many of you I've had the pleasure of meeting with this past year, and everyone else look forward to hopefully being in a city near you and getting to meet in person eventually. So since I only have the Central America portfolio, I'm going to focus on Pacuare Lodge today, but you can see a list of all the other properties that I work with. So Pasha is our only one different from all the others. It's a 10-bedroom villa buyout, but all the others are hotels. FIT can book families or groups at any time. So here's me and Clark in Galapagos Islands. We've known each other for a long time. He's been a great mentor for me, so working with him is definitely a pleasure. Let's hop into what's important though. Today, that is Pacuare Lodge. So it is a virtuoso property. And a little bit about Boena Wilderness Lodges. They own and operate 3 of the hotels that I represent. So it's Pacuare Lodge, Lapa Rios, and Tortuga Lodge. But they also have Monteverde Lodge in the Cloud Forest and now Cloud Forest Lodge in Monteverde. So a little something about Boena Wilderness Lodges. Here's the 5 pillars. So to them and us, nature is luxury, life-changing adventures, rejuvenating indulgence, authentic human connection, and untouched paradise. So for us, the luxury of Pacuare Lodge is within getting to know the local guides and getting a really authentic experience in Costa Rica that you wouldn't have anywhere else. So let's hop into a little map here. You can see the different hotels within Boena Wilderness Lodges that I currently represent. So Pacuare Lodge, kind of smack dab in the central of Costa Rica, followed by Lapa Rios, who some of you might know through Cayuga Collection, but they actually sold in 2019. And the owners of Pacuare Lodge, Roberto and Luz Fernandez, they decided to expand into Boena Wilderness Lodges, purchased Lapa Rios in 2019, and then Tortuga Lodge right before the pandemic hit in January of 2020. So it's really nice having them all under the same umbrella. They're all owned and operated by the Boena team. So let's just jump into a little example itinerary before I get into the logistics and everything. For me, going to Pacuare Lodge is best structured at the beginning of a journey. However, it can be structured at the end or really any time, as long as your clients go to San Jose, stand there for an evening, and then the next day they continue on to Pacuare Lodge. And you'll see at the end what's possible. You can either return to San Jose or continue to a few different cool destinations. So in terms of getting to Pacuare Lodge, we have a ground transfer option, whitewater rafting option, and a helicopter option. So there's quite a few different ways of getting here, and what's most important is understanding the logistics of going to Pacuare Lodge. It's not your typical hotel where you arrive at an airport and get a transfer directly there. I know there's a lot more involved with it, and to me, that's what makes it a truly amazing experience. You get to see a really wonderful part of Costa Rica that you normally wouldn't be able to unless you visit Pacuare Lodge. So as many of you may know, it is one of the only hotels in the world where you can actually whitewater raft into and out of. And Pacuare Lodge is ranked one of the top 5 rivers in the world by Nat Geo to whitewater raft. So it's a true pleasure and honor getting to come visit. However, in order to make that whitewater raft excursion happen, it's important to know you need to be picked up at 6 a.m. from your hotel in San Jose, and then you're taken here to Cafe Viñas. And I love this photo because really from San Jose all the way until you get to the Pacuare River, this is the types of views you'll see along the way. So you get to go through Cartago, the historical capital, have breakfast, continue to Pacuare Lodge, arriving around 10 a.m., and then continuing all the way. And what's important to know is this route is still important to take, even if you're not going to whitewater raft. So you do have to be 9 years or older to whitewater raft, but anyone over the age of 7 is welcome to visit Pacuare. So if you don't stop to whitewater raft into the property, basically you're taken all the way from Grande Oro. You can see this route through Torrealba, and then all the way down to Pacuare Lodge. So you can see here the type of drive that you'll experience. Again, you'll get to see a lot of Costa Rica that you normally wouldn't. And then from the ride down, it's a 4-wheel adventure to the shores of the river. So this is arriving at Pacuare Lodge onto the property. And basically, this is the parking lot where you ride via vehicle. So remember, this is only if you don't whitewater raft into the property. You continue all the way, get on the cable car, and come across. What's interesting to know as well is if you do whitewater raft, your body will not be coming over the river via cable car, but the bags will. So it's kind of fun arriving and seeing your bags go overhead once you get to the property. So a little overview of the whole river, Pacuare River. As I showed you here on the route, you continue all the way to Pacuare Lodge, but if not, you basically enter near La Suiza and Tres Equis and continue to the river entry. So from the river entry to Pacuare Lodge, it is about an hour and a half excursion, and then only class 2 to 3 rapids. So for beginners and people who are a little nervous about maybe rafting out of Pacuare Lodge, this is a great way to see if it's something you'd want to do the long 3.5 hour float out of the lodge. Anyone can really enjoy this portion of the river. You don't have to paddle too much. Very easy and fun and a beautiful view. And then if you enjoy it, then you can do the raft out. However, same situation if you drive. You can continue out of Pacuare Lodge via the road. So you just go across the cable car and continue. But let's get into some photos. So what I'm describing hopefully can come to life for you. So once you arrive at the river near Tres Equis, this is where you begin. You have a guide continue with you. As you see, he has dry bags and medical equipment, everything you need in case something happens. So we take safety as our #1 priority. And here's the view actually from my GoPro, a live action shot of the rafting going to Pacuare Lodge. So see, no big dips or anything like that, some white water, but easy to roll over, a lot of fun. And then after an hour and a half, here's where you arrive at the shore of the property. So I'm going to go back to an overview of the property just so you see before we dive in. I'm going to do my best to give you a virtual tour. What's interesting about Pacuare Lodge is that each room and each part of the hotel are scattered among this property that sits on the edge of the Pacuare River. And one thing that I find very fascinating, and a lot of guests do as well, is that it's actually bordered with the Quebecar indigenous tribe. And that is who Roberto Fernandez originally purchased the property from, because he wanted to, well, he was and still is an avid whitewater rafter. So his friends and him would basically go camping at this property, pay the Quebecar tribe some money, built a great relationship with them. And now we have a wonderful property in a very unique region of Costa Rica. And another interesting part of that, the history, is when you're at Pacuare Lodge, I'll point it out, but you can see a lot of the Quebecar indigenous influence on the art and all of the design within the hotel. We actually have our own replica of their town, so you can go do different arts and crafts with them and meet them. Not many people know Costa Rica is actually a destination where you can meet indigenous tribes which are in Costa Rica. And Carol, don't worry, I will definitely get back to the timeline at the end. Okay, so Once you arrive, here is the restaurant and the reception center. And you can see, I don't know if any of you went to Pacuare Lodge in the past, but a couple of years ago, we incorporated this new deck. The restaurant is brand new, and there's been a lot of renovations. So it's looking better than ever. And if you continue into the property, this is where you meet for all the activities. We have these wonderful solar charged cheetah print golf carts that can take guests to their rooms scattered across the property. A brand new kitchen and restaurant. We also have a wine cellar. So we do our best to import wines only from Latin America. Therefore, we're not creating more of a carbon footprint, sending them overseas. And continue to the pool. So you'll see there's so many adventures to do at Pacuare Lodge. That's really what makes it special. But if you are looking to relax, or maybe a couple of family members don't want to partake in all the adventures, then you can definitely sit around the pool and enjoy your time here. The tiles in this pool actually keep it cool, so it's nice to relax. And at the end of the property, you can see different whitewater raft groups coming by. I like to incorporate this into the slide because if you're a virtuoso agent, this is the amenity that we apply for your guests. We do a nice little bonfire next to the river and incorporate with a beautiful dinner. Our culinary is something we really focus on here. We actually have chefs from Santorini come every year to train the staff members. Roberto and Luz are big foodies, so this is something that they really focus on. And we work with a local farm that we actually began in the town of Torrealba. So all of the meat, eggs, chicken, vegetables, herbs and spices, you name it, comes locally from our garden. And we have a full vegan menu as well. So let's get into the rooms, which is probably the most difficult part of Pacuare Lodge to understand because they're so scattered out. But there's 20 rooms total. And for anyone, for guests, maybe a couple with a small child, a garden view suite is a great option. Or maybe two friends traveling together, because this is the only option where we don't have a king bed. We actually can do two full-size beds as well. But then we have the 4 Riverview suites, 7 Linda Villa Vistas, which are really awesome for families of 4, and you'll see why. Same with the Canopy Villa and Jaguar Villa, which we only have 1. Starting with the garden view rooms, they're basically scattered around the pool. So you can see they're quite far apart from each other, individually standing. And then once you look into the room, we have the king bed or 2 full-size beds. If you continue to the back, there's a bathroom with an indoor and outdoor shower as well. So these don't typically have a river view, but of course, if you end up booking a river view suite, it's essentially same as the garden view suite, a little bit bigger in size, but just 1 room. So great for couples or couples with a small child, because we can incorporate a single bed into here. And then of course the river view is your balcony, nice hammock. And then I enjoy the river view suites because you get the soothing sound of the river at night. Same with the Linda Villa Vista, very similar to the Riverview suites. However, can fit a family of 4 because there's sliding glass doors that divide the living room from the bedroom. So the bedroom has a king size bed. And as I mentioned, the Quebecer influence, these are actually created by the indigenous people who live nearby at the Quebecer community. The bed frame behind it, and even the lamps as well. So as I mentioned, it's divided. You can see it here. These doors separate the master from the living room, and we already have 1 single bed, and we can bring another rollaway as well. So they close also to the outside. You can hear the river at night. These are screen windows, but it's nice because there's a great breeze at night since it's a little bit high up in the mountains and you're next to the river. So not air conditioned. However, that's never an issue with our clients. And if it is, our Jaguar Villa does have an evening breeze on the bed. So great option for families. All right, let's continue to the Canopy Villa. And as I mentioned, there's only one of these. So for me, it's probably the most exclusive honeymoon suite besides the Quetta Master Suite that you can get in all of Costa Rica. You're overlooking the entire property. You have your own hanging bridge to a canopy. You essentially have your own little house, which is incredible. The plunge pool looks over the whole property, so you can see, if you look closely, the pool down there. And then inside, it's similar to the Lindaville Vista, but a little bit bigger. These doors close, so we can bring in 2 beds, and there's only 1 bathroom, but indoor, outdoor shower and outdoor bathtub as well. For families of 4 or 5, the Jaguar Villa can't be beat. It's a little bit bigger than the Canopy Villa. However, it's at the level with the river, so you don't have the view of the entire property, but you have the best view of the river, of course, because you have your own canopy from a hanging bridge. And aside from all the other rooms, the Jaguar Villa has 2 bathrooms and both have indoor-outdoor showers. So there is more room in the living room, which is why we say 5 people max. We can even fit 3 rollaway beds into the living room. And of course, outdoor bathtub, it's hard to beat. So you've seen some of the logistics of getting there, a little details of the whitewater rafting. You've seen the property and also the rooms. So what's important to not forget is the activities that are on the property. And before I go into more detail, the most important and wonderful thing about the activities at Pacuare Lodge is that they're all only for guests staying there. So as I showed, the property is pretty massive. Therefore, we have our own canyoning, which is basically waterfall rappelling at a smaller scale. You know, you're not going to huge waterfalls, but basically a stream that follows all the way from the top of the mountain down into the river. So that one's a lot of fun. We have our own canopy tour, zip line as well, and lots of bird watching and nature tours. So for example, in high season, when there's a ton of people in Costa Rica, like right now, a lot of the national parks and big zip line companies can get rather packed with a lot of tourists. So once you're at Pacuare, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, you feel completely exclusive because you'll be with our in-house guides and you'll only be with people staying at our hotel. So 20 bedrooms total, that gives you a good idea of how exclusive you'll feel. So yeah, we have the zip lines, we have canyoning, rafting, but we also have wonderful bird watching experiences. All of our guides are from the local area, and even one of them told me that he grew up, you know, basically hanging out with the indigenous. So he got to learn about all the wildlife, and it's really spectacular learning from these people who have been there forever and know it like the back of their hand. We also have a waterfall on site, the Healing Waterfall. So you can walk there doing the loop, about an hour-long hike where you'll see tons of different animals. And it is a little difficult because you go up the mountain and back down. And that's why it's so refreshing getting to the waterfall, which is spring-fed, so it's always a nice temperature year-round. Sustainable programs, we work with local school and invite them to come do different things like trash cleanups and different programs, maybe take them ziplining and you know, in different hikes in the property so they can learn about sustainability and ensure that you know, our future is going towards the right direction and helping Costa Rica in the right way. So here's some of the wildlife that you can see on the property. I'll always love seeing the flocks of toucans and the iguanas and sloths. So if you don't want to do a tour, your group can totally just go with one of the guides and walk around the property and look for animals. That's always one of my favorite things to do. We have wonderful night hikes where you can see things like the tree frog of Costa Rica. And then, of course, I mentioned the Quebec Art Tribe. So here is our art studio where you can meet them, do some artwork. Kids always love this, and you can even have lunch with them with the translator or breakfast. So there's not many places in Costa Rica you'll find that you can actually meet and learn about the indigenous culture and history of the country. Okay, so I mentioned how rafting going into Pacuare Lodge is rather easy. Well, rafting out is about 3.5 hour tour. So you leave around 8 in the morning and then arrive around noon in Siquires. This is towards the end of the river. So this is an amazing part because you get to jump out of the raft and kind of float along and really just enjoy the view. Leading up to that, you'll see class 3 to 4 rapids. So it is a little more intense, but it is one of the most fun adventures I've ever done. So if you have guests who enjoy whitewater rafting and adventure, it's definitely something they'll come home raving about. The staff, as we mentioned, it's really everything here at Pacuare Lodge. They'll always share a smile with you. For example, your whitewater raft guides could be guiding you one day, and then the next day they're helping you serve dinner or taking you ziplining. So it's really a family feeling. Everyone's super kind and generous, and they also have great English speaking skills. So it's an opportunity to learn about Costa Rica in a more meaningful way. I'll mention just a few of these things because every person who visits Pacuare Lodge does pay a $25 conservation fee per person per stay. And that's just so we ensure we're doing the right thing in the community. We've set up a lot of cameras in the region and trying to expand the wildlife protection more. And we've actually seen an increase in wildlife in the Pacuare region since we've done this. So aside from that, we support local soccer teams. I mentioned our local farm and having different schools and groups come to Pacuare Lodge to learn a little bit more about conservation. So traveling here, knowing your money's going to a great place and a great cause is something special. Okay, so this is a fun announcement I have for everybody. It's been something that we've been holding off for, but Boena Wilderness Lodge has expanded their own airplane. So they have a service where if you're booking with them, or perhaps going from Pacuare Lodge to Tortuga Lodge or to La Barrios, they now have a 6-seater Cessna 675 Caravan. Well, sorry, 8-seater, including 2 seats for the pilots, 6 seats for passengers. So this is a great option, and you can book the flight with them or with your local DMC, whoever you prefer to work with. But yeah, I will just go back to a few maps and show you guys what it combines well with. So I mentioned Tortuga Lodge. It's another property that Boena Wilderness Lodge works with, and it combines really well. It's basically what I like to put Pacuare is it's your gateway to the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. However, you can always get back to San Jose and continue to any other part of the country. That's what really makes it amazing logistically. This is a itinerary that I recommend, and what you can also flip these. So you could do Tortuga Lodge first, and then Pacuare Lodge. But please note, if you do that, your guests have to fly from San Jose to Tortuguero and then back to San Jose, and then you can continue to Pacuare Lodge. But that's, in my opinion, kind of cheating. If you do it the way that I'm about to show you, by rafting out of Pacuare Lodge and continuing to Tortuga Lodge, you really get to see almost the entire part of the northeastern Caribbean side of Costa Rica, which is much less explored than the Pacific. So Siquires, where you exit the river from Pacuare. Once you're here, we have a shower. You can purchase different drinks, and your driver will be essentially waiting for you. So you can change and be ready to go. So from Siquires to La Pavona Dock, outside of Tortuguero National Park, It's about a 2-hour drive average. And then from La Boena dock, you take a boat, 45 minutes, all the way to Tortuga Lodge. So once you arrive at Tortuga Lodge, it's on the Caribbean, but actually located on the river. So the other side of Tortuga is the beach. However, it's not a beach destination. There's really strong currents, tons of wildlife. So we don't recommend ever swimming at the beach here. It's more of a wildlife immersion. And it's been newly renovated by Boena Lodges, so you can expect all the standards that you would see at Pacuare. The Miss Florentine Villa is our biggest room here. All the others are Mr. Mishak and Poppy Brown Suites. So I think there's 27 rooms total, but the Florentine Villa is our best for families and has a plunge pool. And then activities, it's called Tortuga Lodge. So basically it's one of the best places in the entire world to see turtles hatching or turtles nesting. Here's me with my annual fam trip that I lead in June. So if you're interested in learning more about these destinations, I will be hosting a fam trip June 5th to 12th. And we'll also be going to Aguas Claras, which I'll show you next. We'll be announcing that, and you can sign up through our newsletter. So please stay tuned. So aside from Tortuga Lodge, if you want to see the beach and continue south to see the Caribbean, then this is a perfect itinerary. It's pretty much the same as getting to Tortuga Lodge in terms of distance and time. So once you arrive at Siquirres, by whitewater rafting, same thing. You can change clothes, get drinks, whatever you need to do. And your driver will be waiting to take you about 2 hours and 15 minutes to Puerto Viejo, where Hotel Aguas Claras is located. So this one is with Cayuga Collection. It's not with Boena Lodges, completely different ownership and management. However, same style of sustainability and adventure is what you focus on. So as I mentioned, Tortuga Lodge is really focused on nature immersion and seeing wildlife in its natural habitat. Tortuga Lodge and Tortuguero National Park, there's no vehicles, only boats. So if your clients are looking more for beach time, then going from Pacuare Lodge to Aguas Claras is the best option. And we do have different categories of rooms here at Aguas Claras. There's these bungalows, which are from the original property. It was a Victorian era coffee plantation that has been renovated into a wonderful Caribbean style jungle hotel. And we also have Pavlova Suites, which there's 8 of those, sleep 2 each, and then different bungalows. So 5-bedroom bungalow, 2 2-bedroom bungalows, 2 1-bedroom bungalows, and a studio bungalow. So different options for groups of all sizes. And again, this isn't a, it's not adults only hotel, but like Pacuare Lodge is ages 7 and up. Tortuga Lodge, any age is available. And yeah, I'm at 12:29, so that's all I have for today. The last comment I want to make is that both of these routes I just showed you, if they don't whitewater raft out of Siquirres, just remember they go across the cable car and then they'll go via vehicle all the way to Aguas Claras or La Boena dock from Pacuare Lodge, which only adds about, I'd say 45 minutes to each drive rather than rafting out. So I know it was a lot of information, hopefully not too much all at once, but thank you so much for joining, and I will leave this open for the next several minutes for questions. Please leave them, I'll answer them live, and I will also reply via email with all the recording of this, all the questions, and everything else you might need.